Welcome to this channel, Young Pilgrims. My name is Sebastian, and today we're going to continue with a series of videos about the festivities that the Eternal has given us to fulfill. This time we are going to study the festivity of Shavuot, the last of the spring ones. This festivity is totally linked to the event studied in the last video, Bikrim. As we saw in that video, Bikrim, in addition to being the day the barley first fruit were delivered, it was also the beginning of the counting of the weeks for the festivity of Shavuot. The count consists on 7 weeks or 49 days, and the day after those 49 days, the 5th day, is Shavuot. In the Bible, we can find in the book of Leviticus chapter 23 from the verse 15 to the 21 the command about this festivity and what should be done. We read this. From the day after Shabbat, the day you brought the sheaf of the weight offering, count off 7 full weeks. Count off 50 days up to the day after the 7th Shabbat, and then present an offering of new grain to the Lord. From wherever you live, bring 2 loaves made of 2 tenths of an ephah of the finest flour, baked and with yeast, as a weight of offering of the first fruit to the Lord. Present with the bread 7 male lambs, each a year old and without defect, 1 young bull and 2 rams. There will be a burnt offering to the Lord, together with the grain offering and drink offerings, a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. Then sacrifice 1 male goat for a sin offering and 2 lambs, each a year old, for a fellowship offering. The priest is to wave the 2 lambs before the Lord as a weight offering, together with the bread of the first fruits. They are sacred offering to the Lord for the priest. On that same day, you are to proclaim a sacred assembly and do not regular work. This is to be lasting ordinance for the generation to come, wherever you live. As we can see, there was a long preparation for this festivity. The Israelites had to count these 7 weeks while working other wheat crops, so that on the 5th they will be ready. On this day, they will present the first fruits of these to the Eternal, along with some korbanot of purification, delivering, offering, and peace, and also a holy convocation, which, as we saw in past videos, is a day apart from the work and where the Israelites gather to learn from the instructions and celebrate. Here we also find that the deliverer of the bread, although unlike matzot, the unleavened bread which was made on the festival of Pesach and Matzot, this one carried leaven, since it represents the first fruit of the work of the people and the delivering to the Eternal, rather than the symbolism of our body and life without sin, as we saw in past festivities. Something very important is that this festivity was celebrated by the people of Israel until they entered the promised land, since it was until then that they began to work on the crops in this land. All this brought as a teaching to the people of Israel that the fruit of their work were grace. All this brought as a teaching to the people of Israel that the first fruit of their work were grace to the Eternal, and they also belong to Him, as this should be recognized not only by taking the first but the best, representing the purification, dedication, and willingness to be in peace and consecrated to the Eternal Father. On the other hand, this festivity has a great shadow and figure of what Yeshua did many years later, and what his disciples adopt and remember to this day. As we saw in the Bikrim video, Yeshua is the Reshit, who was the first to defeat the dead and be resurrected by the Father. and is the main stone of the spiritual sanctuary. On the other hand, the people of Israel, together with the Gentiles believers added, who are also us, must take it as a reference and example to continue our path towards future redemption and also be part of the spiritual sanctuary, being living rocks, as Peter says, and receiving the Ruach as those disciples did that day of Shavuot, 50 days after Yeshua descended to the heavenly places. So this festivity was prophetically fulfilled in this event narrated in the book of Acts chapter 2, where the early and later rain that was prophesied in the book of Joel arrived, establishing itself in the believers who serve as living stones of a spiritual temple and have borne fruit until today. As a teaching of this festivity, we learn that we must give the best of our lives to the eternal Father and follow the example of Yeshua as the Reshit, being living stones that receive the Ruach to bear fruits of obedience and holiness that lead us along the way towards eternal redemption. This is why it is important to celebrate and remember it, so not as not to forget that mission given from the time of the people of Israel through the time of the apostle and continue to this day. And well, that's all for this occasion. Thanks for taking the time to listen. Remember to give your like, and below, if you have any comments, you can write it. Until next time, blessings.